All right, hello, this is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over a series of videos for MIT's App Inventor 2, and we are on our ninth and final app, building a very simple Pong game, and I was able to restart the emulator, and that's the way it looks right now. Again, is it perfect? By no means. All right. One of the first things is I don't really like the way that looks, so I'm going to click back in here, and I'm going to cut that down from 24 to about 20 and see if I do that once this restarts. Yeah, I like that better. Now you may not agree, you're building your own, you can do whatever you want to do to it, right? Okay, I mean, I could take the score and put it down at the bottom in the start. Maybe that would be a better thing to do. I don't know, but there are ways. A program or an application like this, in my mind, is never actually complete. All right? Okay. So, let's think about what we want to do. Well, how about when we actually click the start button, what do we want to have happen? Well, let's do start and reset next. And now that I look at these, that start button, could have probably made them both the same size. They're not right now, but they're close enough. That's fine. So let's go to our blocks editor and let's go to start. And while we're at it, let's just pull out the one for reset also. All right, so let's just, no pun intended, but let's start with start. Now, we're going to be wanting to work with the ball in here, and let me put all the code in. All right, so if you bear with me for just a second, we're going to put all the code in. Then we're going to go back and take a look at each thing that's in here. So we're going to be monkeying a lot with things that are in the ball. The other thing I was thinking of is I don't like image sprite. Why don't we just call it what it is? So let's rename this. It's the paddle, right? We can call it image paddle. There we go. I like that a little bit better. This is a ball, so we really don't have to change its name. We could make it ball instead of ball one, but that's no big thing one way or the other. So, blocks editor. All right, so we're going to come in here, and let's go to our ball. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to be able to move our ball. All right, so we're going to do this move to, and we want to move it when we start to the middle of the screen. All right, so we're going to do a math operation here, which is, I think for the first time, I could be wrong, but I think we're going to have a divide in it, which I think that's what we're doing for the first time. And we want to take our canvas, and we want to find the width of our canvas. And we want to divide that by 2. We want half of that. So in other words, our x-coordinate, and if you don't know what the x-coordinate is, we'll look at it in just a minute. Change that to 2, and this will actually be 0. Oops, don't want all that, just want this. All right. Now, if you look at your screen, so let's go back, let's bring the emulator back up. That upper left-hand corner right there, not here, but literally where our screen is, that's location 0, 0. So what we're saying is we want the ball when we start to move the width of the screen divided by 2, so right in half, and then have the y be at 0. So it should be right where it's shown right there. All right, it should be right there. Now, if we go to the designer, we can move that. I'll put it right there just to show that to you. There, it's moved. It's not at the very top. Okay, but it should be when we run and when we start. All right, so we're setting that. We want the ball to become enabled, which means that we're able to move it. If we didn't, it wouldn't be too much of a game. So we want to set ball enabled. Well, we want to set it to true, meaning that we are able to move it. And then we want to set what's called the ball heading. We're going to look at all of these in just a minute. All right? So let's find the ball heading. And we're going to set that to, we want it to basically go in a random manner. Remember, we've got a random in here someplace. I know we do. A random integer. We want to base it on where we are on the screen. So I'm going to say between 225 and 315. All right. Again, this will all make sense in just a minute. Then we want to set the ball's speed and the ball's interval. We'll set the speed to 5. And the ball's interval, where is that? We're going to set that to 10, just to start. All right? Now, before we even do anything, I'm going to go back and explain every darn line of this thing. But first, let's go to the emulator. All right? Do you notice our ball's now moving? Okay. So what made that magic happen? The only thing that's doing anything in here right now is the ball. But I went out and found this site. Show it to you. This is on App09's actual site. Made it a little bigger. All right, so I went out to http://ai2.appinventor.mit.edu/reference/components/animation.html. Well, before we even do this, let's just go to the components. This is kind of your window into everything that you see on the screen. Now I want to go to the animation, so I'm going to go here. But if you want to find out everything there is to find out about the components, that's kind of, for lack of better words, sort of a magical place that you can go. So again, if you leave this and you just go to http://ai2.appinventor.mit.edu/reference/components, okay, that will allow you to find out information on most everything that's out there. I'm just going to call this ball.txt. How about animation properties.txt? That'll work. All right, so what's there? Well, ball, a round sprite that can be placed on a canvas where it can react to touches and drags, interact with other sprites, etc. For example, and they give you an example right here. It says, to have a ball move 4 pixels toward the top of the canvas every 500 milliseconds, or every half second, you would set the speed to 4, the interval property to 500, the heading to 90, and the enabled property to true. Okay, whoa, what is all that? Well, let's take it a step at a time from what we just, what we just put in here. Here. All right, first thing we did was the move to. First of all, have you noticed? This is all color-coded. So blocks, anytime you're going to put something in a block, it's kind of in this golden brown. Procedures are purple. Set statements are green. We're going to have a variable in here. Variables are kind of an orange-brown. So basically everything that's in there is in some form or other. And I don't remember if we actually, we'll just put a variable x in here and we'll initialize it to 0, just so you see it. Okay, so you can see not only do things fit together, but they're all color coordinated. So the first thing in here is a procedure, and it's a built-in procedure. It's not ours. It's a built-in procedure that's called move to. So what does that do? Moves the sprite so that its left corner is specified at the x and y coordinates. Well, what we specified, once again, I already mentioned this to you, but what we specified was the x-coordinate should be right in half. So halfway, and the y should be at 0. That's what makes the ball, when we start, go to right there. All right? So that's these two. Then we've got enabled. And enabled controls whether the sprite moves when its speed is non-zero. All right? So we've told it we want it to be able to move. Next is the heading. The heading returns the sprite's heading in degrees above the positive x-axis. 0 degrees moves towards the right of the screen. 90 moves towards the top. Okay? And it's just the kind of thing that if you're going to work with games, you get used to it. You play with it a little bit, and I am still getting used to it because I haven't written very many games. But the more you write, the better used to it you get. All right, so that's that heading. The speed in the interval, the speed at which the sprite moves. It moves this many pixels every interval. All right, and what's the interval? The interval in milliseconds. So what we're saying is, have this move 5 pixels every 10 milliseconds. There's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So this is 1/100th of a second. We want it to move 5 pixels. So that's basically everything that's in there. So that's what we're doing when we start. All right, I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to come back, and next I'm going to go over what happens when we click the reset button. So I'll be back with that very shortly.